As the summer temperatures continue to soar, hikers are warned to watch out for the dangers of heat stroke. To discuss how you can best prepare for those hot summer hikes, I'm joined via Skype by hiking guide with Outdoor Vancouver, Karl Woll. Thank you for joining us. In your experience, what are the biggest dangers hikers face during the summer heat?
Yeah, there's a couple of challenges with hiking in the summer. The one is the obvious one, which you just mentioned, especially during a heat wave like we're experiencing, is the potential to suffer heat stroke or heat exhaustion. The other one is just with the longer summer hours, everyone wanting to get outside, enjoy the nice weather, and a lot of the snow melt in the upper elevations is people are doing longer, more extended hikes, and there's just more opportunity to get into more remote locations and to have other things go wrong while they're out hiking.
For sure. And what kind of preparation should be done to minimize the risk of hiking on a hot day?
Yeah, it's a lot of the common sense things that you would think of. So just being aware that it is very hot out and just being well prepared with that in mind before you head out on your trek. So having lots of fluids with you. And if you're doing an extended hike where maybe you're going to go through all the water that you're carrying, make sure that there's a water source available on the hike, whether that's from a stream or a creek or something like that, and that you're carrying the proper means to filter or treat that water before you drink it. And then also clothing is hugely important. So having sun protection, so sunscreen, bring some with you so you can reapply. It will sweat off. And having the proper clothing. So a hat, and not just maybe a baseball cap, but a full brimmed hat that will cover your neck as well. Lightweight, loose fitting clothing. So technical clothing, so not cotton, but synthetic materials that will wick the sweat away from your body, things like that. So staying covered and doing hikes that are maybe in the shade as well. So in the forest and avoiding hikes that have a lot of sun exposure, especially in times where it's particularly hot out.
Now, I know you mentioned particular times. What time of day is the best for hikers to be going out on these hikes?
Early morning is definitely the best, or late evening. Late evening poses the potential challenge of the sun setting on you before you're finished your hiking, which can cause other problems. So early in the day is ideal before the sun. If you can get to the trailhead right as the sun is rising, it's rising nice and early these days. So starting as soon as you can and finishing by lunchtime would be ideal. It's the heat of the day is generally when you want to be avoiding being out hiking, overly exerting yourself if you are at all worried about suffering heat exhaustion or heat stroke. So those hours of 12 to 4 p.m. are going to be the most difficult for managing the heat.
And what should hikers do if they find themselves on a trail unprepared or suffering heat stroke?
Yeah, so first, just try not to be unprepared. So if you're watching this, do some homework, do a little bit of research, think about all the things you need to bring with you and be well prepared. Have a hiking buddy, make sure someone knows where you're going, when to expect you back, all those good things. But if you do get out into a hike, you're out there for a little bit longer than you thought, the sun is affecting you more than you thought. One thing is to just be aware of what are the signs of the early warning signs and symptoms of heat stroke and heat exhaustion. So if you're starting to get a headache, if you're starting to feel nauseous, a little bit dizzy, if you're feeling fatigued or overly tired, you're sweating profusely, things like that, it's maybe take a mental check and just stop and think, am I exerting myself too much here? And do I need to maybe start thinking about ending this hike earlier than I had planned and heading back? If that does happen, you want to find shade. You want to make sure you're bringing your body temperature down. So you want to make sure you're hydrating at that point, resting, again, out of the sun, and just taking a moment to get the heart rate down, cool the body temperature, and then make that decision that it's probably time to call the hike early and head back.
And thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.